As you remember, when we built the exterior walls of our house, we have this chimney area here that we just built out, but we didn't do anything with yet. So now we're going to add the fireplace. So the way that I like to build the fireplace, and what I find is the easiest way to visualize it, is to use a window feature. So what we do is I use a window, and I'm just going to drop in a window for now to start out with. Oh, gotta be in this plan. Go to window. I'm going to put a window here, and of course it's going to put my default window in, but I'm not going to use that one. I'm going to come in and update it. I'm not going to change my defaults because I don't want it to change anything else, but it's going to be a fixed glass window, and I'm going to change a lot of the options here to make it look like a fireplace. So I'm going to turn off all the casings. I don't want any casings. I also do not want any sills. And I also do not want it to have a sash. I'm going to keep a frame around it so that I can apply a material to that so that it doesn't look like the sheetrock. That the wall, if I take that off, then the inside of it will just be the sheetrock of the wall behind it, and I don't want that to be it. So I'm going to leave a frame around it, and then I'm going to go over to my materials. And instead of glass here for this portion, for the glass area, I'm going to change that to an image of fire. And there are some here in the catalog, in just the basic catalog. And so I'm just going to pick that. That is not what I wanted it to do. Where did that come from? This one is what I want. Just this image of the fire here. So it won't. Don't know, will it show here if I change this? No. Okay. So let's go back to, let's hit OK and see what that looks like. There. And obviously that is still not the right size, but I can just size it like this. I could also size it in the dialog box. So this would be whatever size your firebox is going to be. I'm going to make this one 36 by 24. And then I can come here and I'm going to center it on my chimney because I used all of my measurements here, so I know where that needs to be. So I'm just going to center that on there. And so you'll see that this is still showing a label here for the window, and I do not want that. So I'm actually going to double click that and go back into my settings. And I'm going to go down here to schedule, and I do not want that to include in my schedule. I don't want that to count as a window. I'm using the window feature, but it's not actually going to be a window. And I want to suppress its label here under label. I'm going to turn its label off so that way it won't label it, and when I pull a window schedule later, it won't be a window. It's just for visualizing the fireplace. So that is how I'm going to do that. And so next I want to add a hearth and a mantle. So there's a couple of ways you could do it. Let's add the mantle by adding let's use a cabinet tool and a shelf, just this basic floating shelf. And then I can resize that here. And I only want it to be, let's make it 8 inches deep, and then I'm going to center it on this again. And then let's open it up, and I want it to be 8 inches deep also, high. Let's actually make that 52 so that's nice and even. And then I'm going to set its height here. I'm going to make it 54 inches to the top. that actually might be, let's just make it 6 inches high. There, that looks better. Okay, so it moved it down there, and I'm going to make it the same wood stain as my beams. So I'm just going to pick that up. I've got to be in 3D. Pick that up and paint that on there. Change that material. So now that's a stained wood, just a chunky piece of stained wood, just like my beams and my shelves in my kitchen. So now let's make the hearth. So let's make the hearth, and I'm going to use, for that, I'm going to use the Polyline Solid tool. If you're in Home Designer Pro, use that slab tool, like we did in the laundry room. So I'm just going to use the Polyline Solid. I've got to be in this window. And I'm just going to draw that shape right there. And again, it always puts it on the floor just as a skinny little slab, but I can adjust it here if I want to, or I can go into the settings. And I just want it to be 12 inches. And I want it to sit on the floor. All right, and I will add its material in just a minute. All right, let me see, what is it? Okay, it's got a temporary dimension popping up. I'm going to make it the same width as my mantle. So what did I make that? 52? Yes. And then I'm going to center that again on everything so everything's nice and lined up. And then let's look at it over in 3D on a better view here. So you can see how that is starting to come together. Okay, so now I want to make this wall a feature wall with stone, because I also want to make my chimney stone. So actually, let's do the chimney by coming in here and selecting these 3 walls, and we're going to change them from our default walls, from our default exterior walls. We're going to change the materials on those. From that board and batten, we're going to actually change that wall type to we want a brick 6 instead. So that will, because we're going to put a stone on there. So we're going to go and define that, and we're going to change this to a stone. And this is going to be another bonus catalog that we're going to use. Nope, it's actually a manufacturer's catalog. So I've got, let's see, what have I got? I've got several different stone companies here. Let's look at this Coronado stone. I want it to be this kind of irregular, multicolored stone, but I'm going to just use kind of this gray kind of color. So I'm going to use that one. And so that's changing those walls to accommodate that stone. So we're going to click OK, and we're going to click OK with that. And you're going to see that's going to add that stone thickness to the outside here. So we're actually going to want to now delete our corner boards that came in there. Did they put them in the corners? No. All right, so we've got that stone veneer now around our chimney. And now I'm going to also apply that inside. So I'm going to use, for this, I'm going to use the custom backsplash tool again. So I'm going to go here to my cabinet tools, and nope, not custom, custom backsplash. And I'm going to pull that. Okay, if you don't have it at the right angle, it won't snap to that wall where you want it. So you've got to get your position your camera properly to get it straight, pretty much straight on, and it's still not wanting to do it. Why is it? There we go. If I do it from the top, there we go. It wasn't liking that. Okay, it always goes to that default white tile. I'm going to pull that in, and I can see that here too in my plan view. Let's see, is it letting me pick it up? No. All right, and I'm going to make that. I'm going to pick up this material and make that the stone there also. And I can actually make that thicker to make it more realistic by going into the settings and edit that thickness, so I can make that like 3 inches thick if I wanted to, so that that kind of comes out into the room. Actually, it might come out more like 6 inches. Let's do it like that. See what that looks like. Right, so that makes that look like a nice wrapped stone piece, and I can actually pull that up. So then the crown molding just dies into either side of it like that. And that comes around. And then we're going to want to, now it's probably going to let me select it over here. And now I can select it. Okay, that's my mantle. Let's tab select. It's not going to let me select it. There it is. Okay, now I'm going to center it. So now it's centered here, and I'm going to pull my mantle out, and I'm going to pull my hearth out. And then I probably need to adjust the depth of that hearth because I only want it to be like 12 inches deep. There we go. Not sticking out quite so much in the room. And now I'm going to change the materials on that one as well, and I'm just going to make it all stone so it just looks like a big chunky stone built in. And then in here, this is why I left a frame around this, so that I could make that the stone as well, and it won't because that, if I took the frame out, then it's just a hole in the wall, and if I changed that material, it would change the whole wall material, so I don't want to do that. So I left the frame on there so that I could have the stone on there too. So that can be whatever, obviously whatever your materials are. So for this little house, I'm doing this stone look on it, so that it looks like a big chunky stone chimney that's coming in from the outside. So it's all one unit like that. Okay, so let's go back outside and build up the rest of our chimney. And I'm just going to do that also with my polyline solid or slab tool the same way. And let's see, go back to this one. And I think I'm in the floor overview. I think if I go up a floor, it turns on my roof, so I can see what's going to be happening with it there. So I'm going to use my polyline solid tool, which is here. And make a shape over the top of that. It's going to put it on the 0 level again, like it usually does. And there I've selected it, so I'm going to open it up. And I want it to be like 6 inches thick, and I want it to be like, I don't know how high I need it to be. Let's just take a guess at 12 feet. There it is. So it's way too high, but that's okay. I can just grab it and pull it down to meet the top of that. So I want that to look like that. And then I'm actually going to see if I can select it over here again. Tab select. There we go. I'm going to copy it and hold its position. And then I'm going to drag it. No, I don't want to do that. I want to open its. So now I want the bottom. I'm going to move this one up, and I want the bottom of it to be at 121. So 121. So I'm just going to stack it on top of itself. And then I can grab the top one. Where did it go? I want it to scoot in a bit. Where did the other one go? I don't know where it went. It disappeared. Let's see. Oh, because I put it at 121 feet, I guess, instead of 121 inches. So there we go. Sometimes that happens. Oh, yeah, I don't know what I did. 121. There we go. That's better. So some of this stuff I keep messing up on, and I'm leaving it in here for you guys so you can see that we're all kind of working through this. So I want that to meet just the top of that wall and to come down like 6 inches. And then this one, I just wanted it to step in a little bit, and then that's going to be my actual chimney coming up. So I'm going to change the materials now so that it's all the stone. All the stone. There we go. So I don't have that centered, so I'm going to see if it will let me select it. Yep. And I'm going to center it on everything else. So I wanted that to just step up a little bit, and I might actually make another one so that that looks a little bit nicer. Because I need this one to kind of cover up the top of those, of where the walls end. And then I want it to kind of step up a little bit. So I'm going to copy that one and hold its position again. And now I'm going to do this visually this time. Pull that up a little bit. There. And I can, if I grab the top, I can step that in. Step that in. So that's looking a little bit better. And then there. So that gives that just a little bit of interest there. And I probably need to pull this chimney up a little bit more. Remember, you have to be 2 feet above anything within 10 feet of your chimney. So you're going to want to get into elevation and get all those measurements and make sure that this is 2 feet above probably this peak here. So you'd want to get into elevation and check all those dimensions, but we'll get into that in a minute. So let's see. That one's still kind of floating, isn't it? There we go. There we go. So it just gives that a little interest to that stone. All right, let's go back down inside. And there we go. We've got our chimney and fireplace set up.